Haumatakipe. My name is Sean Sherman. I am a co-founder of our nonprofit NATIFS and CEO of my company, The Sioux Chef, based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I am born and raised on Pine Ridge Reservation and enrolled with the Oglala Lakota Sioux tribe. At NATIFS, our two main goals are creating access to Indigenous-focused foodways education, along with facilitating Indigenous food access to our many Indigenous communities across Turtle Island. We run a nonprofit kitchen called Indigenous Food Lab. Our mission with Indigenous Food Lab is to facilitate a lot of Indigenous-focused curriculum, creating a space for Indigenous culinary education and development, to be able to do a lot of food relief where necessary. We're hoping that we can work with tribal communities across Turtle Island to help them to develop more Indigenous food operations everywhere. In this series of videos, we're sharing recipes our culinary team at NATIFS have developed that combine commodity products available through the food distribution program on Indian Reservations, which is FDPIR. On top of that, utilizing Indigenous wild edible foods that we found in our own regions. So if you're in the Midwest or Mountain Plains regions, these recipes are for you. We're hoping that people who have access to the commodity food program will be able to utilize these recipes. On top of that, spending some time outdoors and reconnecting with the nature around them as our ancestors did. We truly believe that bringing more Indigenous foods into our kitchen and onto our plates will help with our health and our wellness and our cultural diversity. Pilamae, and thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy these recipes.
Hello, my name is Wendy and I'm a culinary associate at the Indigenous Food Lab.
And my name is Vern DeFoe. I am Anishinaabe from Red Cliff, Wisconsin, and I am the culinary program specialist at the Indigenous Food Lab.
And today we will be making cornmeal blueberry griddle cakes with a ground cherry sauce. For the recipe today, you will need yellow cornmeal or blue or any other finely ground cornmeal you may have available, baking powder, salt, water, some dried egg mix or a fresh egg if you have available, and frozen blueberries or any other berry you may have. And you will also need some foraged mint. And then for the sauce today, you will need some applesauce and some ground cherries. This cornmeal griddle cake is a great alternative for people who have difficulty digesting wheat. As an added benefit, whole grain corn is a good source of fiber and is a good source of the carotenoids, which are good for eye health.
These are the components that you'll need for cooking: a mixing bowl and a whisk for stirring up the batter, a measuring device for putting the batter into the frying pan. We're using a 1/4 cup measuring cup today. A spoon or any sort of a spatula for making the ground cherry sauce, and a spatula to flip the corn cakes. A frying pan to cook the corn cakes in, a saucepan to cook the sauce in, and access to a range.
So first we're going to take the cornmeal and put it into a large mixing bowl. Then to that we are going to add the baking powder, the salt, and the dried eggs. And if you're using a fresh egg, you'll want to whisk the egg well before combining it to the dry ingredients. Now you'll just want to whisk it together to make sure everything is well combined. Does it matter if there's like big chunks in here?
Yeah, you want to try to break those up as best you can. That's the powdered eggs. It looks like the powdered eggs will be a little more clumpy, and like Wendy's doing, you can just break them up with the whisk and kind of stir them in a little better. You want to get all the dried ingredients as well incorporated as you can.
After whisking all of the dry ingredients together, you're going to want to add the water to the dry ingredients and then whisk until that is well combined. So Vern recommended I added 1/2 cup in first to make sure I don't add too much water. So I'm just going to pour 1/2 cup in, about 1/2 cup. And then I'll mix that up a little bit, see how it is. You'll want to make sure the batter is thin but not too watery. If the batter is too thick to spread, you'll want to add more water, and then you'll want to mix that to your desired consistency.
Yeah, depending on the type of cornmeal you get, or the type of powdered egg, the water is going to vary as far as like how much you should add or not add. Some cornmeals are finer grain than other cornmeals, so the more you make these kind of batter things, you'll get used to it, and
I think it's also like a preference thing if you like your pancakes watery or if you like them a little thick. Well, I like my pancakes like to be fluffy, so I kind of like a thick batter.
Another thing you can do if you accidentally do make your batter and it's a little too watery, if you have the time, you can leave it sit a little bit and the corn will start to absorb the liquid and it'll get thicker.
So you wouldn't recommend adding more cornmeal in if it's too watery?
Or that too. That would do the exact same thing.
There's no more little chunks in there. We got rid of all those and it's pretty thin. It's not watery like we said. We want to avoid that. Now that this is all well combined, we are going to cover it and set it aside until the ground cherry sauce is ready.
All right, so when harvesting ground cherries, they come like this. They got this little husk around them. They're available usually in late summer to the fall time. They start out green, but the way you can tell when they're ripe is when they have like a yellowish orange color. And you want to make sure that you remove the husk because everything on the plant is poisonous for you except for the fruit itself. So to cook the sauce, we've got our applesauce here. The pan is ready, as you can hear and see. And then the ground cherries. You just get it all in there. And then you may have to add a little bit of water just to keep the pan from scorching. Well, you want to start out at like medium heat till they start to break down and the liquid comes out. And then while you're cooking them, you can kind of smash them. These will take a while to cook down. You basically want to cook them until they're the same consistency as the applesauce. And so you just kind of keep going, let it going. The ground cherries, as they're cooking and when you see them start breaking up, you'll be able to see the seeds coming out. And it kind of looks like a tomato, so just little tiny white dots that are in there. So as these are boiling down, I'm just kind of pressing them up against the side of the pan.
Ground cherries are a great ingredient to use because they are not only tasty, but they also have vitamins like A, C, and B3. They are also a good source of vitamin B1 and B2. They also have minerals like non-heme iron, calcium, and phosphorus. All of these help support immune health and sustain energy levels. Ground cherries also have some melatonin in them, which help regulate your sleep.
All right, looks like our sauce is good. The way that I can tell is when you're cooking it, you can kind of see like how the seed part is pretty watery and a different consistency than the berry part, the outsides. But now if you look at it, it's nice and thick. So it's all about the same consistency. So I would call this done.
That smells really good.
And now we're gonna just set this aside and we'll start griddling up the corn cakes.
Now that the sauce is ready, you're going to want to heat a medium-sized iron skillet, or you can also use a frying pan. Skillet is on a medium heat setting. So because we set this aside, the water did go to the top and the bottom is now clumpy. So I'm just going to mix that around a little bit so that it's all just the same consistency before we put in the hot skillet. I'm just going to put about a tablespoon of oil. Then just swirl that around so that the bottom of the skillet is all coated in oil. Now I'm just scooping about a 1/4 cup of the batter and going to put it on the oiled skillet. And then you're going to want to immediately put the blueberries on top. So you're going to let this cook for about 2 to 3 minutes or until the edges are bubbling and the edges seem cooked and kind of brown. I think that was about 2 to 3 minutes. It looks ready. I'm just going to flip it. Ooh.
That looks
Pretty.
great.
It should be a light golden brown or a darker golden brown depending on how you like your pancakes or griddle cakes.
How's it looking on the other side?
Let's see. It could use a little bit more.
Yeah.
There you go.
After each cake, you're going to want to just kind of wipe out the oil. And the handle, if it's a cast iron, it's going to be warm. So you just kind of are absorbing the oil. And be careful not to burn yourself. And once it's clean, then you'll just start over again and put some new fresh oil in.
Thank you, Vern. Another tablespoon of oil. Again, we're going to swirl it around. Cover the bottom. Scoop another 1/4 cup of batter. Pour it in. And then put the blueberries on top. Berries are a nice touch to add to these griddle cakes because they're rich in fiber, minerals, and vitamin C. They support digestive and immune health. They're also high in antioxidants that protect from cell damage and disease. Berries also promote a healthy insulin response. Let's see. Pretty, it's ready.
All right.
There you go. You'll repeat this process until your batter is all gone, making sure you wipe the skillet clean of any oil that's been left behind. This makes about 8 to 12 griddle cakes.
All right, now we will finish up the cakes by adding some ground cherry sauce that we made earlier. And then we'll top it off with a little bit of mint. You can even eat the flour. Adding a little bit of mint is always nice because it not only tastes good, but it has a lot of health benefits, mostly in digestion. It can help settle an upset stomach. It promotes relaxation and proper flowing digestion, and may even help relieve headaches, nausea, and even gas. You can also use dried mint in cooking, but just remember that dried ingredients are a lot more potent because when the moisture comes out, so just be mindful about how much you put on top. And there you have it. Here are our corn cakes with blueberries.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy this recipe. We also hope this helps inspire you to try out indigenous ingredients next time you are in the kitchen cooking.